Good morning, treasure seekers and fans of the Civil War Gold Show. It is I, Treasure Troller, and we're back. Back for a few minutes to discuss Season 2, Episode 4. I know it's a little late. It's already Tuesday. Tonight will be the next episode, but you know, the holiday weekend and all. And I didn't get to see the show till later in the week. Took a day or two to digest it. So, with that being said, let's talk about last week's episode. Once again from the serene and beautiful Potawatomi Park. On the surface, it doesn't look like there's a lot to really talk about from that episode, but there are a few things worth noting. I guess the first thing we might as well clear up is this Pritchard Hackley conspiracy agreement to build a railroad from Allegan to Muskegon. Once again, we have to go back to the year 1870, which was approximately when the gold was moved. Remember, we got to go by what their timelines are. There was actually no need for Pritchard and Hackley to conspire to build a railroad, because by 1970 there were actually two railroads that ran from Allegan or within a few miles of Allegan to Muskegon. First one was the Indiana Grand Rapids Railroad. That one was completed in around 1870, which ran all the way up to Grand Rapids. And prior to that, around 1858, there was a railway system that ran from Grand Rapids to Muskegon. But that railroad isn't the one that we want. What we want is the Chicago Lakeshore Railroad. That's actually the railroad system that ran to Allegan's west, ran up the lakeshore, obviously, and that's the one that actually ran down into the lumber yards or down to the lumber companies along Lake Michigan. That's where Hackley and all those guys loaded their stuff up. There was a Supreme Court decision prior to 1870, the Michigan Supreme Court, that decided that it was unconstitutional to make taxpayers pay for these railroad systems because they were primarily being used by lumber companies. So with that putting a momentary halt to railroad construction, a gentleman by the name of Mason secured bond funding, and he was the one that actually contributed to the Chicago Lakeshore line. So if Hackley and Pritchard at all got involved in a railroad financing project, it was as a bondholder for an issue, something that was already being taken care of by a gentleman by the name of Mason. So the railroad construction theory doesn't really hold any water. The second thing I was going to mention was, see, last year, and I think the guy, like I said, there's the three primary guys there. There's Ken, his brother. I think the other guy, his name is Brad. He's the other bigger guy. And last year, the way, when you look at these shows with a critical eye, you have to kind of look for tells. Overlook a very misty and hazy, overcast day along Potawatomi Park. Still, it's a very beautiful place. But anyways, you have to look for tells. And last year the tell was in, I believe, Brad, the kind of the middle guy between Ken and his brother. If you saw kind of the look on his face, the expressions, the I'm not comfortable with the theory or storyline, that's where you could really kind of tell that that's something worth looking into. But this year is different. He's all in now. He's got that same little smirky smile that Ken has whenever they think they're onto something. So the way you have to look this season, the tells this season are with the local historians or the experts that they're talking to. And I think there was a lot to be said when he was talking to that guy in the museum, when he was talking about his theory. You know, when someone gives you a theory or poses a theory to you, you either kind of say, you know, that's horseshit, or yeah, you know, or a nod, or some sort of agreement or disagreement. But you'll notice you got nothing from that guy. He just sat there stone-faced, poker-faced maybe. I mean, this guy has been looking into this for years and years and years, and this is the theory he comes up with. And a guy that knows all about the railroad history and knows all about Allegan and Pritchard sat there with a stone face. It could be great editing, but anyways, that's the way you have to tell. And so when you're watching the show, watch for the expressions or the non-expressions from experts and people that they're talking to. There was one last year that was that way, and that was when they were up in the education building when they were talking about the statue facing east. And that was really the first indicator or the first tell that I got from this series that, you know, maybe something just maybe not quite right here. So that was the second thing. It was the tell non-tell, or the tell from the guy in the museum. So watch for the tells, watch for the people that they're talking to. Watch their expressions or their body language. There's where you can really sort of get a hint as to where some of this is going. But Pritchard was really not involved in the railroad. If he was, it was as a bondholder. Looking for the tells. The third thing that I really want to discuss was they came right out with it this year with a be all end all explanation. I talked about that in my reveal video last season, which is no matter what you throw in front of them or anything that you say, they always have the be all end all with, well, you still can't prove it isn't there. And that's what happened in this episode as well. They gave you a be all end all. And that's what this whole show is kind of based on. Remember when they were digging in the basement and they found a coin or something that looked like a coin? They've yet to determine it. Oh, and we'll talk about something else too. They found this coin or something that looked like a coin. What could that possibly be doing down there? I don't know. Maybe that was the whole foundation that was dug out. That doesn't matter. But they find a little piece of wood down there. Well, what does this say? What does this little piece of wood indicate? And Ken's brother speaks up right up. Well, that was a treasure chest. The treasure was there, it was buried there, and it was dug up. That wood's from the treasure chest. There you go, people. The be all end all. There's no other explanation for that wood. Zero explanation. It was a treasure chest. That's the be all end all. The third thing, or the fourth thing, whatever, is what they found or didn't find in the yard. Now, just before they started digging, they talked about that place being sort of a encampment. Now, if you watch any of these metal detectorists, when they go to encampments, they find loads of musket balls, they find shoe buckles, buttons, an occasional coin. But I found it rather unlikely or severely edited that all they found out there was a coin, a Civil War coin. They didn't find a nickel or a dime from the people that from 1996. You find a lot more of those than you do old silver coins or old historic relics, or artifacts, I'm sorry, relics I was going to say. So it's rather suspicious that all they found was one Civil War or possibly Civil War coin. They should have found musket balls, belt buckles, buttons, current coins, anything like that. It's rather suspicious that the only thing, it's almost like they just sort of like threw a coin out somewhere and told the guy to go look for it. Yeah, History Channel, I got my sources. So, with that being said, we got tonight's episode. Watch for the tells. Watch for the tells. It makes watching this show a little bit more interesting. So, with that, this is Treasure Troller signing off. Aloha and good day.